Hey, would you look at that? Looks like we got our first images of Halo Infinite. That's pretty cool. Hey!
Oh, oogla! Wort!
Oh yeah, I forgot I was talking about you, eh? Alright, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Welcome back, everybody, to me, your boy, Joe Van, and my take on the Halo franchise, specifically Halo 5, what it did wrong by the other Halos, and how it could have gone right. In today's episode, we're jumping into that latter ponderance through example. How the heck could this mainline Halo installment from 2015 have gone better? Before jumping straight into my take, this is just a basic rule of thumb. Don't have the protagonist radically change. Many people think the Chief did this in Halo 4. He was always the strong, silentish type in the other three games, so it made people take note when the voice actor said more than 3 lines of dialogue. It didn't shock me as much, for whatever reason, but I've heard a lot of people online express themselves the other way, so I thought I'd make note of that here. The Chief is actually known for speaking regularly in the books, so it isn't a departure from his usual characterization for him to be talking more in Halo 4. It also makes sense in the game's universe, too. He was asleep for 4 years, and when he came out, his one and only companion was sitting on the brink of death. That's a lot to handle emotionally. He was still steely-eyed and cool, just put into an extreme emotional situation. His portrayal in Halo 5 makes him out to be emotionally unstable, something he's accused of in Halo 4, funnily enough. So I wonder how he could have otherwise been portrayed. Okay, enough prolonging this thing. It's time for the retelling to begin. Let's start with the backdrop. In Halo 4, the Didact commands the Splinter Covenant cell until his arrival at Gamma Halo, where he presumably kills them all alongside the humans, before bugging out to Earth, where he plans to kill all of humanity. Other cells of the Splintered Covenant still exist on the Forerunner planet Requiem that are explored in the story Spartan Ops, taking place between Halo 4 and 5. So for our story, we will keep their tale intact, but not necessary in understanding this retold Halo 5. The story begins with Cortana speaking about Chief, like she did at the beginning of Halo 3, but this time it holds the weight of us knowing she has died. We see Chief getting suited up, reversing how Halo 4 ended, and we see it from behind so as to keep his face forever a mystery. He is on Earth after a week or so since he saved it, and is ready to get back out there. The first mission is him getting reacquainted with Blue Team as he goes through drills for himself and the UNSC to monitor his abilities. They mention how he's stronger now after undergoing whatever the librarian did to him. The whole first mission would be like an ode to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Love it or hate it, that first mission was utterly impressive at setting the player in the world they're about to embark on. The second half of the mission would come when word of a domestic terrorist group attacking civilians in the city you're placed in breaks over comms. You and Blue Team deploy to find a mini army of Prometheans being controlled by a rogue AI. After clearing the streets, Oni takes the AI chip from you to investigate what happened. You and Blue Team decide to have a word with Lord Hood. He fills you in on info you're not supposed to have, that after the attack from the Didact, AIs have begun turning and going violent, crashing ships and cutting off oxygen in space. He sends your team on a covert operation to the world where Oni took Didact's ship, Reach. Your team exits Slipspace to find the shipyard under attack by the Covenant cell from Requiem. Your mission is to take them out while simultaneously entering Didact's ship undetected. Once in, you find a message activated by your DNA from Cortana that she left behind. She tells you about the domain and to go there where a piece of her might still exist. The place is the Ark. Now, side note, the unfortunate thing about me writing this summary retelling is that I come from the future. Halo Wars 2 was released 2 years after Halo 5 came out, so where I'm about to take this story might be considered unfair due to my insight. Master Chief and Blue Team head to the Ark, finding it quiet at first. They settle down at the coordinates Cortana's message said, only to find that it leads them down into the depths of the installation. The mission starts with Sentinels attacking you, still primed with their directives from Guilty Spark, like in Halo 3's last mission. But as your team continue down, you notice the ground becoming slimier. creepy sounds come from between the walls, until finally, a group of flood spores pounce. The mission peaks with your team taking on various flood pure forms until locking them out of the complex. Once in the right room, Cortana reveals herself, lighting up the dark. But it's not as we knew her. Her luminescence glitches between red and blue, showing just how severely fractured she is. Chief's warmth towards her quickly grows cold as he realizes he will have to put her down, but he doesn't know how. Cortana rambles about how everyone, every last man, woman, and child is Halsey, and she has the power now to take that bit out forever. Chief and Blue Team decide to set off bombs in the complex they're in and escape. With a countdown timer and a newly found Forerunner mining vehicle that seats 4, the team fend off the Flood and Sentinels, racing their way up to the surface. They make it away in time as the ground collapses from the explosion. However, the threat is not gone, or even interrupted. The raw, deep sleep anger that is what remained of Cortana has latched herself onto the domain, and from there all Forerunner tech and human AI are now under her control. We hear her laugh into the air. Blue Team slip back to Earth to fill Lord Hood in on what they discovered. Lord Hood, now increasingly busy with all the AI attacks ravaging Earth, orders Chief and Blue Team to follow the Infinity on an assault on the Ark. Captain Lasky welcomes you back on the Infinity with your old team back together, and you head off. Upon returning with backup, several different ships have arrived. The Splintered Covenant cell, that's holding Halsey hostage, the Banished, Kigyar pirates, entire armies of grunts, and the Arbiter's army. While all coming to the same conclusion that the AI attacks they've all been experiencing across the galaxy are originating from the Ark, they did not prepare to find everyone else there, and so an all-out battle commences, one bigger than any single landmass had ever seen. The Infinity team up with the Arbiter's army to withdraw Halsey, seeing her as their best bet to stop the splintered Cortana. The mission begins in space, then in the air, then on the ground, until you successfully retrieve the Doctor. Without needing to fill her in, she has already surmised what has happened and a possible way to stop it. With the air consumed by Crossfire, there's no safe way to transport Halsey, other than across the ground, so you take the wheel of a Warthog with Halsey as a passenger and Arbiter on the gun. Blue Team takes a Gosshog beside you, and you all trek across a muddy land. Kigyar pirates, grunts, and the Banished do their best to stop you as you race across the battlefield to the crater where you met Cortana last. Upon arriving, Halsey accesses a portal, and you all enter. In a dark room, you hold off Banished, pirates, and grunts that are entering the portal behind you until your team is able to exit the room, locking it behind you. Halsey stays back with the Arbiter as you and Blue Team investigate a new inner world. Sentinels attack, along with Prometheans, but eventually you find a watchtower set a portal for Halsey and the Arbiter. They reunite with you, and Halsey finds a way to communicate with Cortana. She says she wants to put her to rest, explaining that everyone dies, asking where she is. Cortana freaks out, bursting out a bright light. It glows so bright that the team can see it across the planet, finding out where she is, and thus where to deactivate her. Arbiter mentions the Banished worked with the others to break through, pointing behind them across the land to the room they locked. Chief responds, "Then we better hurry. If anyone's taking Cortana out, it's me." Halsey and the Arbiter wait in the tower. With vehicles, the Banished catch up to you and your team as you descend the tower. You fend them off, apprehending a couple of vehicles and heading off to Cortana. Sentinels and Prometheans continue to try and stop you, but your team push through, making it to the other tower, ascending its elevator. Cortana speaks to you as you ascend higher and higher. She tries to remember your name, recounting bits of events that you two shared, but in the end cannot recall your name, and regresses back into anger. She calls you Halsey, worthy of death. The mission starts with a massive firefight right in the foyer exiting the elevator. Cortana begins repeating lines from the didact, just like she did in the OG Halo 5, before crying and laughing, crackling between the both, ending with an apathetic, end it all, and the flood is released on your team. You fight through them as you climb upstairs until making it to the room where she is housed. The mission ends with your team entering the room. Inside, you find a dome not unlike the one you break Cortana from in Halo 3. You do the same thing, smashing it until it breaks. Inside the protective case is a Forerunner chip, ebbing red and blue. Cortana pleads as you remove it. No, 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 you're killing me, please! John! The Master Chief freezes. The chip is squeezed in his fist, but he lets up. Cortana continues. You said you would take care of us. Chief hyperventilates, frozen in anxiety. But Blue Team place their hands on him, all saying, John, saying he's not alone, that they're here. Cortana grows angry as she realizes that she is doomed. She says, it's not over, John. It doesn't end here. No! And he crushes her. A beat passes. The pain rings silent. Blue Team bring Chief back to the present. It's time to go, and they head out. Flood are everywhere. You fend them off until making it back to the elevator, riding it down while talking with Halsey. She sets a portal for you and your team to reach outside. The doors open and you're greeted with another firefight from the Banished. After pushing through, you head into the portal where Halsey asks if Chief did it. You tell her yes, and she seems concerned. Chief asks what's wrong, and she says the signal that's been controlling the AIs is still active, ever so faintly. Blue Team urges an immediate evacuation as Flood close in, and more Banished continue to enter the portal. Everyone jumps through the opposite portal, landing outside the destroyed door to the entrance room. After clearing out 3 waves, your team exits the inner arc plant. Lasky gets you on comms, asking if you did it. Halsey answers yes and no, but that they should leave now with their skin. Lasky sends your team coordinates for a pickup. You all hop back in your respective hogs and race away while being hunted by opposing parties. Upon arrival at the LZ, your pickup ride gets shot down, so the Arbiter arranges another pickup with a Phantom. You all race up a cliff and ride off it into a cutscene where the Phantom picks you up midair. After a near miss, Chief asks to take over control. You have a dogfight, then fly the Phantom out of the atmosphere, dodging obstacles and firing beams until the mission ends as you land onto the Arbiter's ship. The Infinity bugs out, with the Arbiter directing his ship to Earth, leaving the rest of the ships to squabble amongst themselves. Sharp cut to a meeting room with Lasky, Halsey, Lord Hood, the Arbiter, and Blue Team talking about the current state of things. Earth has stopped experiencing rogue AIs, but the outer colonies they worked so hard to re-establish have become unsafe due to the AI effect. Chief chimes in, quoting Cortana, "It's not over." Halsey elaborates on Chief's words, saying if Cortana was anything, she was a catalyst for something else that's still out there. We don't know where, and we don't know how long we have. All we know that it is indeed not over. The screen fades to black. A low grumble enters our ears, and from the dark we begin to see the facial features of a primordial creature before fading back to pitch black. Credits roll, preparing us for Halo Infinite. Les Fins. Granted, this story does the misfortune of not taking place on a Halo, it does try to inject more fun and mystery into the series. Anyway, who am I to critique my own work? You all out there, let me know what you thought of my take on how Halo 5 could have gone. Now, of course, regardless of how it could have gone, we have what we have, and Halo Infinite will clearly do its best to dig the franchise out of the hole left by Halo 5. But to end this whole thing on a positive note, where do you see the campaign for Halo Infinite going? Do you think the Flood will return in some capacity? Let me know. Thank you all for being here, hearing me out, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Ciao for now.
Oh,
Wait. Wait.
oh, oogla! Wart, wart, wart.
You're coming in. Stop talking.
Oh, oogla! Wart, wart, wart.
Yeah!
Who's complaining?